All markets are tanking right now, including Bitcoin, and that's why I wanted to sit down with my friend,
your friend Andy,
someone who's made almost 7 figures in crypto, and I wanted to ask him what he's doing or not doing during these volatile crypto times.
What's up, guys? Today I am talking with your friend Andy on YouTube. His name is Your Friend Andy, and we're just going to be talking about crypto and everything. I know some of you guys may follow him, but if you have never seen him before, Andy, thank you so much for coming on, and go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah, so I'm your friend Andy, but also I'm your friend Andy. I'm both, you know. I make videos on YouTube, much like you, Kris, and my videos are kind of around the topics of investing and finance and wealth building and a lot of crypto, and then also some entrepreneurship and working for yourself, doing your own thing, tossed in there for good measure. And then I do all that on YouTube. I also chat about the stuff on Twitter, and recently started a podcast, which you've been on. So now we're doing the back and forth, interview each other stuff, which I love. A whole smattering of other things, but if it's online and it's talking about money or getting better or financial independence, I'm doing it, trying to do it at least.
And how did you get to where you are now? Like, what was that like? Did you ever work a job? Did you run a business? What was that like?
Yeah, so I've been an entrepreneur for most of my life, a lifelong entrepreneur, except for just before college age. I got it in my head, kind of everyone around me was kind of encouraging me to go to college, get out of college, get it, just any degree, go get a real job, and that's the path you follow. So I got away from the entrepreneurship stuff for a little while. I did the 9-to-5 thing. I had the career thing. Worked for a tech startup. Did that whole thing, and then I kind of realized in that I'm like, what am I doing? I'm doing something I don't actually want to do. How did I get convinced that this was all a good idea? So I got back to entrepreneurship, and I've run my own small business with my wife for the past decade. And then 2 years ago, this whole online thing started. And this has spawned into a bunch of different businesses and income streams and opportunities. And I'm very clearly in the correct element. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, versus not that there's anything wrong with the 9-to-5 thing, but it's just not for me.
Yeah, and that's what I was kind of wondering too, is do you think that's something people are like, do you think it's like you're born an entrepreneur, or do you think it's more of like a nurture over nature? Like, do you think you always were one, or what's that like?
I've always been one, but it's hard to determine if that was a natural thing or if it just had certain encouragement from my parents about a certain thing I did, and that spawned some idea in my head. I don't know. I do believe that just about everything with entrepreneurship can be learned, but there's still big swaths of people that are just not cut out for it. Even still, even though you can learn it all, some people just aren't built for it, because it requires an incredible amount of discipline and self-motivation. Requires an incredibly high tolerance for volatility of your income from month to month, and like weathering storms. I mean, at the end of the day, entrepreneurship means it's all up to you, whether you fail or succeed. And some people just in their core being don't want that responsibility. They want to just do something that it's not bad or good. They just want to go work at a job where they're basically told what they do, and maybe their dreams and their passions align with that company, but they don't have to like sweat all the small stuff. And they're like the CEOs, is taking the weight of all the the market factors and customer demands and this and that, and they're just one of the many pieces of the machine. Whereas an entrepreneur, it's all up to you to make all this stuff happen. So it's just, I don't know. There's both sides to it, I guess. To kind of answer your question by not answering.
Yeah, I'm always curious to know what other business owners or entrepreneurs think of that question, and just kind of see how it fits with everyone else. Because if we can understand that, then maybe we can help relay that outward as well as YouTubers. But yeah, like, let's talk about crypto, right? Like, what's your biggest crypto position? What's your biggest crypto win? And then to follow that, maybe what's your biggest crypto loss?
Yes. Well, everything is looking shifty right now, Kris. This is what timing that we jumped on this this chat today. The markets are a little bit in free fall. Bitcoin hit high 16,000s today. FTX is imminently collapsing. Ethereum's getting real close to $1,000, down from 1,500 just a week ago. So everything's looking a little rough right now, but that's bear market stuff. I've seen all this before. My biggest position is still Flux. Now, it's not my highest conviction of all my things I'm in. Bitcoin absolutely is. Flux is a close second or third for sure, but just because of how much I have and what it's gone up to, it's now my number one position. Number two position is Bitcoin, and long term I want Bitcoin to be my number one position. And then biggest fail, I don't know, I've had a lot of fails. I would have said Anchor Protocol was one of my bigger fails. Luna collapse, about 50K dropped to zero through that one. But then, yield nodes just happened. I had about 51,000 in yield nodes, and so many things for strong nodes. The list goes on and on. The one that everyone was holding sacred and dear lately, Horde, it's on the brink of catastrophic failure. One of the things about crypto I've learned, and I think everyone, if you actually want to be successful in this space, is you have to learn very quickly that there is nothing sacred. Everything you hold dear or you feel like can't fail, it's too big to fail, it's impossible to fail, it either will fail 100% or it's going to be challenged to the brink of collapse. And maybe it'll recover out of that. But there's nothing sacred in crypto. Everything you think is going to go to the moon next week is, just good luck. Good luck with that mindset.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And were you in any projects? I think you've told me before that you've been in crypto since 2017 or around there. Where was it before?
I first dabbled in crypto in 2014, but I didn't get serious about it until 2017. Yeah.
So were you in any projects? Because I was in a handful of projects in, let's say, like 2017 to early 2018, and they just never recovered. I think everyone, not everyone, but generally speaking, people think, well, this project is down this much, so come next bull run, it'll go up. So I guess, were you in any projects in like that 2017, 2018 that didn't recover? And then furthermore, what are some things that you think, I guess what I'm trying to ask is are there any projects that you think won't recover come the next bull run, or do you think it's going to be different since crypto is more mainstream?
My portfolio has probably 120 to 140 positions in it, of which more than half are worth nothing. They're just holdovers from the last cycle. Most stuff in crypto, like 90%, 95, maybe even a higher percentage than that, are going to fail. I think if you look back to the last cycle or the cycle before that preceded me, and you look at the top 10 cryptos on the charts, they're totally different each time. When the next bull run happens in 1 to 3 years, whatever the timeline looks like it's going to be, the top 10 will not be the same top 10 it is today. The tides shift so quickly in the world of crypto. So, everyone thinks things like Solana or Binance. Well, Binance is looking really strong even right now. Or take your pick, Tron or whatever's on the top of the list, XRPs or Phantom. There is another example. Yeah, these things, Cardano, Polkadot. Will some of these certainly exist in 1 to 5 years? Yes. Will some of them still be top 10 in 1 to 5 years? Possibly. Will most of them slip and either never recover or fail completely? Yes, with certainty. It's just like the cycle repeats itself in crypto. It's like a perpetual state of the .com bust. You see these new things glow brightly and hit the market. Everyone's excited about them, and then they fail to do the right things, or the tides change, or the market sentiment changes, and they just fall by the wayside. Then we forget about them and move on to the next hot topic. So I believe the catch is, yes, certainly make bets on which of those might be around in 5 or 10 years. But if those things are up by huge percentages, also take profit, and then maybe roll that profit either just into cash in your pocket, into something in the traditional world like index funds, or if you're going to stay in crypto, at least into stables, Bitcoin or Ethereum or something like that.
Well, that kind of leads me into the next thing I was going to ask is, for your personal portfolio, we can't give any recommendations on people what to do, but like maybe, if you were talking with some friends or family or your personal portfolio, how much of that is in crypto versus other things, right? Outside of crypto, like what do you feel comfortable with there?
I feel comfortable with a percentage that is much higher than I think most people should do. Our
That's why we're on crypto. That's why we make videos about crypto, though, right? We believe in the blockchain. So,
yeah, our net worth is like 40 to close to 50% crypto. The rest is traditional finance mixed with like personal house and things like that. There's other assets minus our liabilities. But the bulk of the investables are crypto for us. I think most people don't have the stomachs for that, and probably shouldn't do that unless they are just absolutely just neck deep in this stuff, thinking about it, reading about it, living and breathing it every single day. Otherwise, just you don't have the mental fortitude to deal with days like today, where Bitcoin is down 10% in a single day. It's $16,700 today, and a year ago it was $69,000. So most people can't handle that. So for most people, they should probably be looking to the traditional world and in much safer investments, less volatile things, and then dabbling with smaller percentages in stuff like this. I think they should be in stuff like this if they want, some asymmetric returns, asymmetric bets, outsized returns over the long haul. But it's killer. It takes a special breed of people to be able to stomach these types of moves.
Yeah, and I mean, you make a good point too. How it's extremely volatile, and maybe it's just dependent upon the person. But I want to ask you too. I talked with you at Vid Summit, and it was pretty extensive about mining, and you're very you keep up to date with mining, and I know that you have some Bitcoin mines, you do some Bitcoin mining. Can you talk about that a little bit and kind of the pros and cons? Because it seems like to me, I don't want to mess with it because it seems like the space moves so fast, but kind of just, I don't know, talk about that a little bit.
Crypto mining in general. And of course, there's the varying degrees of it. There's using GPUs, video cards to mine various altcoins. Like once upon a time, Ethereum was the number one mineable coin, and then they changed to where you can't mine anymore. But that's one whole end of the spectrum. And the other end of the spectrum, which is the Bitcoin miners, which are these big, loud, power-intensive, hot machines that only do one thing, which is mine Bitcoin. They're more expensive, stuff like that. So there's a whole spectrum of this mining world. But I would say universally, mining is not for casual people in crypto. You shouldn't be considering mining if you're just like, you toss a couple bucks in the crypto here and there. You're like, oh, you like the idea of passive income, so maybe I'll do some miners. Because one, it takes a lot of research into which ones are the best and what's the best price, and then also doing future profit calculations. And is this a good time to buy these things? Is the price of Bitcoin too low? Are the prices of miners too high? How long before I break even? What are my electricity costs? Where am I going to host this thing? Where am I going to put this thing? There's just so many questions when it comes to it. However, if you are a super nerd like me and you love this stuff and you want to get down in the mines and get your hands dirty, it can be incredibly lucrative if you do the right things at the right times. I don't know, 80% of my flux bag, which is still multiple six figures, came from just a couple of $1,000 mining rigs over the course of years of speculatively mining it. I probably spent a couple $1,000s worth of power and then a couple $1,000s on the mining rigs themselves, and it's 100x'd off of that. So there are opportunities like that, but there's plenty of opportunities to do the opposite, or to buy at all-time high prices of mining machines and then mine all the wrong things and never break even, then decide you're going to give up and sell them at all-time lows, and you didn't make it, you just lost a bunch of money. Totally possible too. Or with Bitcoin, if Bitcoin's dropping, but the mining difficulty, which is how hard it is to mine Bitcoin for the given miner, keeps going up like it has been. And the mining the machines themselves are dropping, but they're not dropping nearly as fast as the price of Bitcoin is dropping or the difficulty is rising. Well, you might be looking at, 5+ years before you break even. You go, is that a good financial decision? Maybe not right now. So it just, honestly, it's really easy to get sucked into the world of mining and, that type of buying a piece of hardware and get passive income. It's because it's a romantic idea and it's a neat idea. And it's like this, cool thing to have this money rolling every single day. But there's so much that goes into, it's very complicated what goes into that, into those equations that you should be considering when you make these decisions that a lot of people just don't do.
And when I'm really curious too to know about like your headspace when you saw Flux. Like you saw Flux and you're like, hey, I want to get some mining rigs for Flux, and it worked out. Like what was the signal for you where you're like, this is like, this to me is like a great, this has a high potential.
And the rest of this interview will be made available right here on my other channel, Better Blockchain, a channel entirely dedicated to sitting down with founders and having conversations like these. The video will be right here.